This early morning, let's answer a question from social media. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about chanting, or meditation, or philosophy, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. So I would like to answer a question that was shown to me on social media. Ironically, it was shown to me inadvertently. It is with a heavy, heavy heart that I tell you of that which I observed yet again. Someone striving to establish a modicum of authority by explaining to their audience, oh, how very qualified they think they are. Here is a dark irony. When would-be teachers of meditation strive to impress upon you, oh, how qualified they are, what they're really communicating is how qualified they are not. The test of a teacher of meditation and philosophy is not their beauty, popularity, wealth, or power. Nor is it their resume, credentials, or letters of recommendation. What then? What is the test of a teacher? It is as simple as it is unsatisfying. When we receive a teaching, apply it for as little as 5 minutes every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days. Caveat: if you cannot do that, then the teacher before you is the least of your problems. But having applied a technique for 5 minutes every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days, we are then in a position after that 7th day to look at what has occurred in our life. What has changed in our heart and our mind? Has our peace, if our peace has diminished, if our wisdom seems dulled, if our love seems dampened, if our joy seems to have withered, that does not speak well of the technique. Perhaps it does not speak well of the person teaching the technique. It's time to receive another technique, perhaps from that same teacher. If the second technique fails to deliver, not only is it time to find a third technique, but a different teacher. And so there you have it. Just as was said a handful of centuries ago, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, not in the manufacturer's bullet points, but in the tasting. Now let's excavate a deeper level down. And to do that, I think I'm going to use a visual aid. So I'm going to tap button 2. So we have yang and we have yin, and we can learn about them in the 81 chapters of the Tao Te Ching. Those successfully traversing the path of yang tend to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, and cruel. Those successfully traversing the path of yin tend to be flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. When someone is giving you their qualifications, whether they know it or not, whether this is deliberate, whether this is conscious or unconscious, they're trying to control you. They're trying to control their assessment of you. Those who are controlling, those who are rigid, are on a road, metaphorically speaking. But is that the road to greater peace, wisdom, love, and joy? Or is that road paved with flexibility, love, being laid back, being egalitarian? I've had the very good fortune to live with cats, and I've seen a kitten attack a full-grown cat. The kitten attacks with claws splayed, and the adult cat, with claws retracted, will just bat them down, as if to say, "Oh, precious, that's just adorable." I used to live across the street from a rather successful salesman, distributor, alcohol distributor. He worked for a major company. I'm not a drinker. I forgot the name of the company, but it was a big deal. And he was at a dinner party one time, and some guy wanted to show off the right way to do something. And then he posted on his qualifications, which were picayune. And my neighbor, to his great credit, didn't say anything, but his wife did. And his wife told the braggart who this man was, who he worked for, and what his position was. And the color drained out of the braggart's face. And so when those who have spent 8 or 9 3-year retreats hear a self-important fool bragging they sat for a 3-day retreat or a 2-day retreat or a 2-week retreat once a year, every year, for 30 years. Like the big cat batting at the kitten, displaying the thought balloon that reads, "Isn't that adorable?" Let us not be controlling. Let us not strive to manipulate others' view of us. But the self-help teacher in the 70s was probably correct when they said, "Your opinion of me is none of my business." May all of us have the very good fortune to receive teachings from those who are abundantly qualified, not just because of their haircuts or the robes they wear, not just because of the time they spent parking it on a cushion, but because they have truly mastered the teachings, they have truly mastered their minds and their hearts. May each of us have the good fortune to receive the presence, the companionship, the example, and the instructions of true Dharma masters. Before we start this morning's chanting, I shall subject you to a minute of housekeeping. I've set space to be able to broadcast 4 meditation classes a day without any ads. However, with your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If that sounds pretty cool to you, I'd like the idea if there was one of these in every zip code. How fun would that be? If you think that's a good idea and you would like to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee per month, simply use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code, or merely click one of the donation links in the description area below this video, if you feel so led. Oh, I forgot my water across the room. Be right back. Wait. Welcome to the latest iteration of secular Tantra. One of many people's attempts of presenting the Buddha's most sophisticated teachings in the most approachable manner. And now that we have waded knee-deep in superlatives, let's dig in. Let's begin with some preliminary practices. We could strengthen the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm as easily as chanting recitations of bodhicitta and refuge. Oh, here's an editing opportunity. Let's tend to this real quick. Copy and paste. Whoops. Okay, now we're going to adjust the display, and we're off. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. And now I think it could be great fun to knock out a few geriatric step-back squat thrusts before a real or imagined Buddha image, or image of enlightenment. So I'm going to tap button 4 and return to Jumbo Cam. Yes, welcome to stately Wayne Manor. And that is delightfully invigorating. Okay. Now it's time for a bit of the old mantra meditation. Don't worry, I've selected user-friendly mantras. Let's consider this piece of tantric art. In Sanskrit, it could be described as Samantabhadra Karma Mudra. In Tibetan, it could be described as Kuntu Zangpo Yabyum. And in English, it could be described as all good one, mother and father. The iconography of this yadam, or archetype of enlightenment, functions merely to organize the 8 figures of speech necessary for deeply transformative mantra contemplation. By the way, when someone gives you their qualifications, they are inferring a logical fallacy known as appeal to authority, which says, believe me because of who I am, as opposed to the evidence I'm laying before you. Let us begin with love and letting go. Known by many names, such as generation stage or creation stage Buddhist Tantra. We're going to begin with love's right wishes, which could help us to leap over our competitive tendencies. Now, the key to really making the most of, well, let me rephrase. The key to taking mantra recitation and turning it into mantra meditation, turning into something that really has the capacity to evolve us as individuals, is twofold. Number one, during your exhalation of the mantra, relax as best you can. And number two, during your inhalation prior to the mantra, recite either a loving intention or a wisdom-inducing rhetorical question. Now, don't worry, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because I've typed out on the screens that are coming up the 4 loving intentions and the 4 rhetorical questions, so you won't have to. However, first glance at this this loving intention could seem cryptic, which is exactly why we first flesh it out with the 4 lines that precede it. Let's chant. By the way, if you just joined me, welcome. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, type your question in great detail, if you please, in the chat window. Here we go. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as our Buddha's mind, symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a zero bija mantra. Here's some good news from the world of neuroscience. We don't have to force ourselves to be loving. Every healthy mammal who was not born a psychopath is wired by evolution for empathy. In fact, there's even a region of our brain, a little bit north of the middle of our brain, called the anterior cingulate gyrus. We could describe it as the hub of our mirror neurons. So we are wired for empathy. That's why we call empathy and mindfulness meditation Buddha nature, because they're already factor installed. We already have the capacity. All we have to do is strike the match that's already in our hands, and hopefully that's what we will do this morning. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as our Buddha's mind, symbolized by a one-syllable mantra known as a zero bija mantra. Hum, 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 hum. 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 That's a little bit disappointing. Let's see if I can't adjust this. Oh, here's how we do it. This is how we do it. Remember that song? I forgot who sang that. If you remember who sang that, let me know. Let's see. Will that do it? Close, but no cigar. Not even a bubblegum cigar. Remember those? Okay. Let's chant, but first I would be remiss if I did not check the display. Okay. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyful and loving as our Buddha's communications symbolized by this five-syllable mantra. Hum, 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 hum. 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 May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought. of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment. Notice the phrase of lore. We're not saying you must believe in something or must not believe in something. We're saying, hey, here's a symbol. Let's play with it. You know, kind of like saying, man, that guy in the gym is as strong as Paul Bunyan. The reality or mythology of Paul Bunyan does not affect the man's strength. Paul Bunyan, real or imagined, is simply a symbol of strength. Now you might say, dude, that seems ungainly. And the answer is yes, it is. Then why persist in figurative language? In a word, evolution. Vertebrate life on this planet evolved to think symbolically. Our ancient ancestors perceived, and then in time they recalled perceptions or anticipated perceptions, and lo and behold, we were thinking symbolically, long before a fraction of us developed words. Let's continue. Hung, 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 hung. Hung, 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 hung. Hung, 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 hung. Hung, 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 hung. May all circumstances of all beings now be as safe and fortunate as a Buddha's paradise, pure land of Vati of Lord. Hung, 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 hung. 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 If you are perceptive, you will have noticed that we are reciting the syllable hung in sets of 5. That is a reminder of the five wisdoms come from noticing our mental poisons of hating, craving, confusion, competition, and clinging, and then relaxing into their non-graspable nature. Now, if that reminds you of the wisdom of letting go, there's probably a good reason for that, because that's what we've come to in this morning's practice. We're going to practice the wisdom of letting go's a right view of reality to help us to leapfrog over our clinging tendencies. And this is where our figures of speech, we turn it up a notch. We dial it up to 11. How is it that as we inhale, our circumstances could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a cloudless sky or a party of light. How is it that as we inhale, all bodies could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void or a yedam of light. How is it that as we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication could be quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable as a cloudless sky or a mantra of light. Oh, that's an error on my part, which I will seek to remedy right now. Bear with me. On second thought, yes, let's do that. Here we go. Copy and paste. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see here. If we can't be clever, let's try to be clever. Aha. How is it that as we inhale, we could perceive our mind's functions quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void or a bija of light. We now switch gears from verbal contemplations to silent contemplations as well as meditations. I'm grateful to the efforts of the Yellow Hat sect of Tibet in their effort to demystify contemplation and meditation. Contemplation, we do something active, we actively train, and in meditation, we rest the mind. When our mind feels energetic again, we do more contemplations. Contemplations are not a remedy for energy, they are an application of it. Like a kitty cat. It's either napping or it's got the zoomies. Let's begin with bliss and letting go, which is known by many names, such as completion stage. This is where we'll practice bliss and letting go, but before that, let's play with a bit of the old love and letting go. And this is going to be a bit of the a review of what we just played with. So as we breathe in, let us wish, let us mentally recite and silently recite wisdom, peace. And as we breathe out, let us silently and mentally recite for all minds. Now, it's not our job to visualize. It is not our job to believe or even emote. What then? What is our job? To silently and mentally recite in harmony with our inhalations and our exhalations and our relaxations. Do that, and you will make progress on the path. Let us train in love. Joyful love for all speech. Handsome health for all forms. Good fortune for all lots. Welcome to the live stream. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy or chanting, simply type them in great detail in the chat window. Oh, that's weird. Okay, quick like a bunny. We're now, as an act of letting go, we're going to bring circumstances into the dance of impermanence and interdependence. Well, let us treat the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence, the contemplation of which could help us to leapfrog over our clinging tendencies. And let us use the inference of absorption as a metaphor of interdependence, the contemplation of which could help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies. So, once again, it's not our job to visualize or analyze, but simply to play with these ideas, to mentally recite them in harmony with our inhalation, exhalation, and relaxation. I say relaxation because just as we are wired to notice during each in-breath, we're also wired to relax during each exhalation. And so what we're doing in contemplation and meditation is simply cooperating with our factory-installed instructions. Let's switch gears from the circumstantial to the physical. And we shift gears to the interpersonal, because let's face it, our relationships, we modulate our relationships with others with our verbal and nonverbal communication. And now switch gears from the interpersonal to the mental. Well, here's an idea. That might fix it. Let's see. What size is this space right there? That looks like a 10, so let's make it a 5. See if that works. The screen is going to go nuts. Okay. So I'll do my best to adjust the screen. Here we go. Having completed 2 sets of contemplations, this is kind of like doing 2 sets of push-ups or deep knee bends, we can now rest the mind. We're going to do so sensually. We're going to set space for our mind to notice sensation as we breathe in, and to relax into that sensation's non-graspable nature as we breathe out. There's no need for visualization or contrivance of any kind. Simply play with these words, silently and mentally, in harmony with your breathing. And now let's meditate. Welcome to the live stream. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy, type them in great detail in the chat window. We can learn a lot from cats. Sometimes they nap, sometimes they have the zoomies. Our minds are the same way. When we have the zoomies, we can make use of that energy through contemplation. Let's contemplate love and then letting go. Let us wish wisdom, peace for all minds. During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite wisdom, peace. During the relaxing exhalation, we silently and mentally recite for all minds. If you have trouble reading this, if the font is too small or the highlight is too dark, let me know. And now it's time for catnap. It's now time for awareness and letting go, which is known by many names, such as Great Completion Stage. And now we come to awareness and letting go. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite, notice this, because each inhalation accesses our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within our thoracic spinal cord, which has evolved to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, as well as perceiving emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination in a manner that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and random. So much so that the only label we need to use when meditating is simply the pronoun this. During each exhalation, we can silently and mentally... So this begs the question, after all this noticing, what do we do with all this stuff? The answer is, during each exhalation, we mentally and silently recite the word relaxing, because each exhalation accesses our parasympathetic nervous system ensconced within both the lumbar and the cervical spinal cords, which is wired to help us both physically as well as physically relax as well as mentally release. In other words, just like the muscle head at the gym, we pick things up and we put them down. It's time for kitty cat zoomies. Now it's time for the cat nap. Let us seal our practice with 4 chants of universal love, beginning with liberation. May I, like a Buddha, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate others. Now, ethics. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness for spontaneous and uncontrived. Impermanence. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. And we conclude with the 4 immeasurables. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. I would very much like to return in 2.5 hours for this Sunday's mid-morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.